As a child, I distinctly remember wondering at one point if my dad ever sinned. I knew from the Bible, of course, that everybody sins, and so my dad must sin too, but I never actually saw it. I suppose part of that is the fact that God blessed me with a pretty good dad, and part of it was probably that I simply assumed that because he was dad, whatever he did, he had the right to do. If he did something, it must be okay. Do you think your kids ever wonder that about you? I know my kids don't. And it kind of kills me. As fathers, we know that it's part of our job to teach our kids right from wrong. We want to set good examples for them. We want to be great role models for them. And then there's that first time when your kids see you do something that you're absolutely ashamed of, but you know you can't take back. There's that first time when you see your kids do something and you know it's because they learned it from you. There's that first time you see your kids do something in spite of the fact that they didn't learn it from you. We quickly find out that none of us can be perfect role models for our kids, and none of us can raise perfect children. Do you know whose fault that is? It's Adam's. Adam was the one father who had the opportunity to be the perfect role model and raise perfect children, but when he and his wife Eve ate that forbidden fruit, all of that was ruined. When Adam and Eve had children, they were born already sinful, as were their children, and your parents' children, and your children. None of us can raise perfect children, and you can imagine how it must have killed Adam to watch as his sin was passed from one generation to the next. I'm guessing it caused Adam to take his job pretty seriously. See, shortly after Adam and Eve disobeyed God, God graciously promised to send a Savior, one who would be perfect, not as a role model for them, but as their substitute. One whose perfection didn't need to be copied or duplicated, but one whose perfection would count for us all. In the book of Romans, Paul puts it this way: just as through the disobedience of the one man, that's Adam, the many were made sinners, so also through the obedience of the one man, that's Jesus, the many will be made righteous. Even as Adam watched as sin was passed on from generation to generation, he could also watch as that promise of a Savior was handed down from one generation to the next. What does it mean to be a father who's full of faith? Rather than being the perfect role model for your kids, it means being very quick to point them to their perfect substitute. It means being the first and the fastest to ask for forgiveness when you have sinned. It means being the first and the fastest to offer forgiveness when they have. It means that even though the very first gift you ever gave them was your sin, the second gift you can give them is the gift of their Savior. Rather than having kids who think that their dad always gets it right, give them a father who's full of faith, who quickly points them to the one who did.
If these messages are a blessing to you and your faith and you want more, we'd love to make it easy for you. You can just click this button right here to get connection to a YouTube subscription, or if you want these devotions right into your inbox, you can click right here. YouTube here, email here. Email here, YouTube there. Click both these buttons. We'll give you as much Jesus as we can because we know that Jesus is all that we need.